Alright, Miles. I'm gonna need you to grab him. Alright? Both arms out. Hey, it's me, Skaboopy. The one and only. Oh god. Skaboopy. And today in this long running series, we're gonna talk about, I think, an underrated game, Miles Morales. Before Spider-Man 2 came out, this game was the launch title for the PS5, and it's not that bad of a game. And the costume that this game brings from my boy Miles are definitely pretty drippy. Besides maybe like 2 suits, they're all honestly really cool, and I can't wait to talk about them in a sec. But first, I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on the game beforehand. Although I don't think I'll have that much to say. Might be quick, might not be. Gotta make that runtime a little longer, right? Anyways, thanks for anybody who decided to stop by and watch me play this game live on stream, or watch the VOD/video afterwards, you know, when I'm done. I always appreciate it, and I'm always thoughtful by you guys. If you guys ever want more content from me, don't forget to check out stuff from my channel that you might have missed on, or to keep an eye out when I go live, like my Twitch. Still gotta get rid of that E one day. Alright, let's get to my thoughts on the game. Come on. Venom Dash!
Whoa! Is that a new move? Man, I don't even know what I did.
Venom Dash!
Okay, you do you. I'm gonna research the map you found. See what dots I can connect.
Venom Dash!
Keep shocking, guys. You're just a cheap knockoff.
Okay. My thoughts on this game might be brief because, well, it's a pretty fun, solid game. It's definitely improved upon the PS4 Spider-Man game at the time, with some nice quality of life changes. For more tricks you can do while swinging, or being able to change the weather in your settings menu, and you can replay missions, which make my life easier. So, you know, like I said, just quality of life stuff. Plus, I thought the combat was pretty fun. Easy at some points, but, you know, felt more involved with the Venom powers that Miles has. You're able to pull off a lot of cool combos, and it's just a fun time. There's a Kerem right here. Oh! That's not good. Oh, what? That's not fair. Bam! Again, it's not the hardest game, I think, but, you know, sometimes in certain encounters you definitely need to pay attention and, you know, dodge accordingly. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's still really fun. It can be a bit of a short game though, but I genuinely enjoyed playing as Miles. It was just a fun time being his Spider-Man. But besides enjoying Miles and, you know, him interacting with people and stuff like that, I didn't really care much about the rest of the story. I didn't really care about Finn. I just never did. I don't know, it just felt off with her. I don't know, like, I want to feel bad for her, but it's just, I just can't put my finger on it, you know? There's points where I just don't find her compelling enough, or she just seems very ignorant. Which, to be fair, Miles kinda did fuck up with lying to her and getting involved with the Underground and then admitting he's Spider-Man a little late. But by the end of it, it's like, open your eyes for the love of God. The other main villain literally says he's gonna be completely fine if this goes through, and she just continues fighting Miles. And it doesn't help that she's leading this pretty much terrorist-like group that put Miles' mom arm in a cast and like trying to blow up a train station that one time. I only started caring for her by the end of the game when it was like, you know, far too late. Oh well. But yeah, that's my thoughts. A solid game, although I can probably assume it's overlooked considering Spider-Man 2 having been released, which also has Miles and Peter, among a lot of other stuff in that game. At the time though, when this game came out, it was something cool to hold over, and a neat launch game for the PlayStation 5. Made you something should keep you safe, use the sounds of the city. Oh boy.
Use the sounds.
Here we go.
I like pizza. I like burger. I
Mmm.
like chicken nugget. And I like
This shit is so ass. So this time around, there's 20 costumes this time. Thank God. And like in the last game, before you wear the main costume, this time we got 2 costumes to wear before the primary one. I'm gonna go in order from the start of the game to the classic costume, then after that, I'll go in order from the costume list. And honestly, I believe most of these costumes, I can see somebody repping for this game as, you know, like, yeah, this is the costume I like using a lot. And not only that, but we got battle damage in this game. I'll be giving each costume their own unique rating on the battle damage, looks when you get low health, like how I did with Amazing Spider-Man 1. Now it does depend on how much health you have, but I'm just gonna go with the lowest max HP that shows off the most damaged appearance, for consistency. And then rating it from a 1 to a 5. Simple enough, okay? Other than that though, let's start with the first one Miles puts on. The sportswear suit is a mix between some casual clothing worn over his Spider-Man suit. I remember my brain expanding, realizing that, wait, you can wear clothes on top of your costume? That's bonkers. He's got a red partially zipped up hoodie with the hood up that looks cool. I really like it being not zipped up all the way to show a bit of the costume underneath, with the spider logo on his chest appearing. Then he decides to go further and throw on the blue puffer jacket, which I also don't mind either. I guess it must be really freaking cold, although maybe it would be cooler without the blue puffer jacket. Besides that, I like the choice of him wearing some basketball shorts and these red shoes that, spoilers, he wears in other costume. It gets reused a lot, I feel. The only thing I'm wondering is this usually what he wears when he's Spider-Man before getting the Great Responsibility suit? Like all the time? I mean, sure, whatever, he looks fly in it. I just wonder if there's an actual suit underneath or, this is just it. This costume, by the way, is also a reference into the Spider-Verse where he wears like a similar sort of thing, I believe. And not only that, but the blue puffer jacket and red hoodie are also a reference to the last game. The blue puffer jacket is what he wore when running away from the Rhino, and the red hoodie is when he met Spider-Man in the alley. So yeah, I think the suit is pretty cool, pretty fly. So I'm gonna give it an 8. I actually dig it, and it has some nuance to it surprisingly. Now for the battle damage appearance, there's like 2 versions. The one where you first boot up the game with Rhino, and the one normally in gameplay afterwards. They both look good, both roughed up, although I wish the puffer jacket was more cut up like in the intro, the Rhino fight version. Like there's more puff coming out of his arms rather than the one you normally get in gameplay. But regardless of that, I think they're both equally good. So I'm gonna give both a 5. So this is the next costume you get to wear that Peter gives to Miles as a gift in his inexperienced journey. This costume is pretty much a reference to Miles wearing this similar suit in the Ultimate Universe. More so a costume that Genki bought for 80 bucks and they just threw on some pads on his elbows and knees. Then he used to start crime fighting after Peter died. Although he stopped wearing it soon afterwards because, well, 1, the costume was in bad taste, being said multiple times with, Spider-Man dead, stuff like that. And 2, was given a brand new costume from Nick Fury. This is such a really neat costume, straight up lifted from the comics. Not only is it pretty accurate, it's just a nice costume overall. It perfectly represents Miles at this time being inexperienced, wearing a similar suit to Peter that both looks innocent and like he's on training wheels. And I just like how very simple yet oddly he just pops with color, despite it being the usual red and blue color scheme. I really like the blue though, with it being a different kind of fabric too. Of course he's repping some of those big lenses, my favorite kinds. And again, it's so white, it's just popping and it looks nice. And a different kind of logo on his chest that I enjoy much more than what was on Peter's classic costume in the last game. They did add this red circle on his back with some spider legs. I don't care, although at times it throws me off as I just see it simply as a bit of a red circle. Not all the time, but Oh, and he wears those red shoes again. Just wanted to note that. Anyways, not gonna sugarcoat it, I think this is a 10. Perfectly accurate from the comics besides the red circle spider. Rarely represents Miles at the time of the game and again in the comics. Plus it just looks so nice, and if people wanted a red and blue costume like Peter, then I think this does a perfectly suitable job. It doesn't overstay its welcome either in the game once you get the classic suit. Before we move on to the classic suit, we have again 2 different battle damage versions for this one. This time it's a sequence from the bridge, and I think they're both good again. This time I don't mind them being different, as I really liked Miles getting roughed up so much that his chest is like exposed and stuff, you know, very torn. However, I think I just like it for that sequence alone on the bridge, as the one you get normally in gameplay after this does the job well enough. He looks like he was ran over by a car or something. It's the right amount of fucked up, you know what I mean? For both the one on the bridge and this one you get on very low health. So I'll give them both a 5. I definitely understand if you prefer the bridge one to have in regular gameplay. Kind of reminiscent of the battle damage classic suit in the remastered, but hey, you know, I don't care. I like both. Finally, after those two costumes, Miles and Genki make the classic suit that Miles is very well known for. This is his look, his colors, his Spider-Man. Originally, of course, he got his costume from Nick Fury in the Ultimate Universe, as to not, you know, rep the same colors as the original Peter. I don't know the 616 interpretation, and I'm too lazy to look it up, so. It is really cool to see this costume being playable and being worn by Miles, as in previous games when this suit was just another unlockable costume, it was worn by Peter. But now Miles has his own game, with his classic suit sort of faithfully being done with, you know, of course, things they added here and there, like this, you know, sort of faint, you know, belt around his waist, so it's not entirely black below. Not to make everything empty below the red with these lines and stuff. And this added knuckle padding, you get what I mean. Of course, the thing to note about this costume is the obvious that it's black and red, with the red webbing instead. And he's got these bold red lenses that accentuate his white eyes. It's such a cool costume, and I think that's maybe part of why Miles is popular. But part of it, of course, because he had to live up to the hype and legacy of Ultimate Spider-Man. It must have been a tough sell, but he did it. And now we have another cool character who is, you know, hey, also of color, you know, black and Hispanic, you know, that's great. So yeah, I think Insomniac did a fine job interpreting the classic suit of Miles into the game to wear. Like, once you got this thing on finally, after wearing the sportswear suit and the great responsibility suit, it is so worth it. It's so cool to wear it. Easily a 10. Now, when it comes to the battle damage, there's yet again 2 different versions. This is the last one though, thankfully. There's the last sequence of the game when he absorbs a new form and, you know, the regular gameplay. Both again, cool. Although I think it would have been awesome if there was like a unique torn outfit when he's fighting Finn, instead of the regular gameplay you get normally. Besides that, the cutscene one after he observes a new form and like blows up, he just looks cool and went right into ore farming when he got his mask back on. Like, goddamn dude, your friend blew up, got vaporized up there, but hey, I see the motion. So I'm gonna give the cutscene one a 5 while the gameplay a 4. I just feel like it needs to be a little bit more roughed up, you know, but it does what it needs to do. You know, he looks cool. Okay, here we have a bit of a strange costume to explain, because if you know the actual origin of Miles, he didn't have a costume that, you know, he made himself or something like that. It was the Great Responsibility costume, and then the suit that Nick Fury gave him. But ever since Secret Wars happened and Miles transitioned into the main 616 universe, there was a bit of a different origin story, considering, you know, 616 Peter obviously never died and other shit. Anyways, he got this costume after promising a friend that he'll meet up with his sister. You know, and they go to this clothing store, the girl helps him pick out this honestly unique looking sweater with this cool spider pattern on it. And then a scroll comes in, Miles, he fights it after grabbing his brown ski mask that he got out of nowhere. I have no fucking clue where he got it, but he got the goggles, and bam, he got this fire ass fit on. Also, his friend died that he promised and came here in the first place with, but hey, his death is worth it for the fit. Back to the costume. The sweater, again, is really cool. I like it because you have these sleeves that are white, and they contrast with the red so well. Plus, you got the cool ski mask paired with these goggles. If you look closer, you got these tiny holes that I like a lot. The color, so nice to look at. It pairs well with the rest of the suit and the same sweatpants with these red track lines that make me think about the Human Spider look all those years ago. I also like the color they go with, you know, this like nice brown. So it's already buttering me up with my favorite color. So that's good. Lastly, we gotta bring up the Tims, bro. What do you want me to say? These goons are gonna get kicked straight in the face with these boots, bro. So yeah, personally, to me, I think it's a really cool interpretation of Miles' unique homemade look as his first outing crime fighting. Judging accordingly here, it's either an 8 or a 9. so I'm just gonna put it at an 8 for now. Now the battle damage I am kind of a little disappointed with. It's pretty dusty looking, kind of like what they did with the battle damage classic look. Specifically in the PS4 version, if you know you know. There's some neat torn parts here on the upper body of the suit and maybe gashes on the mask, but other than that, you know, it's just dusty as hell. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Alright, if you're all listening, I mean I hope you are, put that fucking phone down. Unless you were watching me on the phone, then pull that shit back up. This is, I'd say, one of the 2 costumes that aren't necessarily the best in the game, you know, to me I think. This is another one of those original designs made by a comic book artist, Javier Garren. I was kind of digging it when I was, you know, fighting or swinging around, but like, you could do cool poses and shit with any suit, okay? It's not gonna bring the suit up because you hit a nasty pose every now and again. Obviously, it's the white sort of elastic part with the suit, you know, covering mostly below his chest. And then above it is your usual black look that you have with Miles, you know, classic suit. However, instead of the webbing being either non-existent or spread across, it's only up across his collarbone, to his neck, and then the rest of his hood, then down his back. While his shoulders remain just black. I don't like it. I do appreciate the faint black webbing though on it, but you know, you barely notice it. Like most of the time. I kind of do like the white part and how it goes across his arms with the black and how it looks with the red spider below his lower body, you know, his legs. But then you get to his crotch and it looks like a thong. I never thought about it that way until I heard someone pointing it out. It's like, huh, it does look like that. So yeah, I really wanted to like this costume, but I don't. I'm sorry if you do, and the concept of like Miles having a sort of similar costume to Peter's advanced suit is cool, but maybe they could like tinker on the suit a little bit more. I'll give it a 6. I see the potential in it, but as it is, I don't find it. It's just not for me. I don't really like it. It's like half good, half like not so good. But if you like it, by all means. On the other hand, the battle damage for this costume is it's alright. You know, with some scrapes across his body, especially evident on his upper stomach. You know, that looks cool, but there's not a lot of that. Same scrapes or cuts on the upper black part. But, you know, they did it on the mask at least. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. It's alright. Alright, back to a banger. We got the animated suit from the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show. I'm not going to talk about the animated series because there's a lot I can say about that. Both good and pretty bad. The good part though was Miles and his introduction to the show, where they don't sugarcoat it with this Peter meeting Miles in a sort of Spider-Man comic nod, and with Peter's death being talked about and shown, and Miles saving this Peter from an even worse version of the Green Goblin. It's kind of funny though, like you have Ultimate Spider-Man the cartoon, which is supposed to be an adaptation from the comics, albeit very little adaptation. But then he finds another universe that is also adapting the Ultimate Universe comic slightly, with another Green Goblin that they had to make beefier and like worser and like scarier. Kind of weird. Besides that, this is a really cool look. For a cartoon, they made a simple, accurate classic look for Miles that translated really well, and it must have been pretty easy to pull it from the cartoon into this game, you know, with some cell shading. Sure, there's not much you can say because, well, what can you say about it? It's just a classic look, but it's just so good and expressive and like awesome lighting. I like this more than the vintage comic book costume from the PS4. Let's just put it at that. I have nothing more to say. It's just a classic suit, but cell shaded and expressive. You know, I like the big lenses. There. So another really easy 10. It's really good. Now, when he gets hurt is, I think, really neat, because you have these scratch marks that, like, when somebody in a cartoon gets beat up, you know, this is what they have. So that's already funny, but works with the suit. At least when you get really low on health, it's there, it's noticeable. But I don't know, I kind of want more than just these cartoonish scrapes. But I understand if they couldn't, you know, do more, especially on his mask, more so on his lenses. So I'll give it a 3, but a really nice 3, okay? I like it for what it is and what they did. Alright, this is the second costume of the bunch that I mentioned don't really hold up or is that great honestly. It's the classic suit, right? But you throw on a blue blazer with a school logo, a big backpack on his back, and those goddamn red shoes again. Also headphones too. Like, this is a pretty lazy one among a lot of other super cool and fly costumes. I can sort of see where they're coming from with this one, like, oh, Miles goes to school or some shit, let's do something with that. It'll be really easy. But like, come on, man. I feel without this big ass backpack, you know, and you just got the blazer on with the headphones and shoes, I mean, it'll still be boring, but I wouldn't have minded as much. But I don't know. It's so whatever. And I guess if somebody really wanted to like roleplay with this costume, sure. But I don't like it. Even then, I feel the big ass backpack also works with this costume. But I don't like it. But I get it. You see this paradox? I'm gonna give this one a 4. Only reason it's not a 3 or below is because of the headphones. You know, I kind of like it around his neck. And the blazer kind of works. So what does the battle damage for this thing look anyways? They pretty much reused the same battle damage texture from the classic suit, you know, 1-to-1. But for the blazer, it's just dusty and some black spots. That's it. Nothing on the backpack or anything like that, so I'll give it a 1. Okay, we're only back to bangers now, except I forgot about another inclusion that this game has, but we'll worry about that later. Only bangers from here on out until then, because we got the Crimson Cowl suit. Definitely giving me some major Assassin's Creed vibes, like somebody dyed their whole assassin suit in Unity, just red. But it's not entirely red, because you got some cool matte black in there too. Now this suit isn't from a comic or anything, rather it's a homage to the Marvel villain, the Crimson Cowl. Who the fuck is the Crimson Cowl? So you have the villain with an already cool design and you Spider-Manify it. You got this suit, which I think is a really cool costume and I bet a lot of people rock with it. Who would have thought giving Spider-Man a hoodie would look fucking cool? This isn't the only hooded costume either too, as with the sportswear suit and the upcoming suit and a little. Now the only issue I really have with this costume is that it's very red, like no shit. But you know, if that's your thing, I bet that's a huge plus for you. It's broken up by these bold black lines and these darker reds on his suit to break it all up here and there. Then when you get to his collarbone area up to his neck and face, oh man. It's like the classic suit but like slightly altered a little bit, especially with these big bold rims around his like lenses. There's like a little shape on top of it too. And I like these red sort of boots he's got on too, they look cool. Oh, and I lied, the other slight issue I have is the logo on his chest, which I don't mind the square look on his back. I feel like they could have done just another cool spider logo for his chest instead. So yeah, I'm gonna give this an 8 if I were to judge this accordingly. Now to the 20 people that are watching this may be your costume, your go-to, so I can totally see if this is like a 9 or even a 10 for you, I get it. But to me and this rating scale, if it's more of an 8, I'd say. Now the battle damage for the Crimson Cowl does the job yet again. I really like this huge scar on his mask, now that's what I'm talking about. And the scrapes on the red of his suit reveal a pinkish weave underneath. It's cool, and I like how it's on the hood too. But that's about it, honestly. I wish there was just more to his chest area, you know, more damage to it. So I'll give this one a 4 out of 5. If you don't feel like wearing an assassin-like costume, then the strike suit is the opposite of that. Of it being more of a I'm about to throw hands kind of feeling. This is an original design made by Dave Raposa. Apparently his inspiration of the design was from the double riders from the Kamen Rider series. Specifically from the movies where it's like an alternate universe movie called Kamen Rider the First and the next. Look, check it out with these tweets. Anyways, I gotta say this is a really cool design centered around Miles. Aside from my favorite things being like big lenses or, you know, brown leather jackets and shit like that, another cool design that I really like a lot in pieces of clothing are popped collars. Not all of them, but this one on the strike suit looks so damn cool on him. I really like the helmet mask with the red webbing retained from his classic look. And we gotta bring up the big gauntlet on his arms that light up with his bioelectricity. Now I don't think it matters whether you have a bar of venom or not, it's always just flashing subtly. With this big spider on the gauntlet and these yellow tube-like stuff going across his suit to his mask. I don't even mind the somewhat bulky spider logos on his back and front. I'd say this is a 9. I really like wearing this strike suit during like combat scenarios, especially in the Rock Zone facilities and fighting those goons. It's a fun suit to put on when you're fighting. Now when this suit gets damaged, I think it again is serviceable. You know, it's a bit dusty, you got some marks here and there, especially on his front logo, and scuffs on his side, but that's about it really. Like I always say, you know, wish there was a bit more to it, so 3 out of 5. Oh yeah, if you ask me what my favorite costume from this is, and currently is, it would be the Ant suit. Although there are 2 more costumes that I really like, but we'll get to them. Now this costume and Miles is an old man Logan kind of deal, where decades in the future, Miles is the only one able to lead humanity or some shit in Brooklyn. Now if you expect some really heavy shit, well, nothing much happened in this comic. It's just a peculiar one-off. However, it does give us a really cool costume. It's so strange because in the comic, you can barely get a look at this suit besides the cover, but man, when they brought this into the game, it's so damn cool. Really made my expectations of the comic go high, honestly. You've got this awesome black hoodie over his costume, which is a different iteration on the classic suit, which feels more like a simple shirt paired with like a mask that has some cool lenses. And on the back of the hoodie is a spray painted red spider, which I really like that wasn't empty back there. And I really like this triangular webbing design on his arms too. Everything else is okay, that pairs well with the costume, just giving it this whole badass Last Dance suit kind of vibe. I just kind of wish the comic that this suit originated from was, you know, something a little different. I'm gonna give this suit a 9. I really like it, okay? Although maybe the cargo pants could have been a different color or type. Otherwise, that's a really cool costume. And hell, maybe a 10 to me, but, you know, judging accordingly, okay? The battle damage for the Ant suit is yet again, I feel like there could have been more cuts and torn parts, especially on his pants. But what we got is good, as his hoodie does have scratches, and on his actual suit part. You know, I really like the torn parts on his chest and mask. I don't even mind it being dusty either. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Plus it adds to the whole aesthetic this suit is going for as well when you get fucked up. Makes me like this costume just a lot more. Okay, this is a very close second to being my other favorite costume other than the Ant suit. This time, there is no Miles from the future or something like that. It originates from a comic cover drawn by Lee Garbett. And this damn cover art gave us the coolest costume ever for my boy Miles. You got this cool navy blue sort of color as the primary base, then these red, white, and light blue race lines across his body. My favorite being the white that pops with the red and light blue. Then when you get close, he has the same hooded thing going on like the Christmas cowl, and I love the texture from his neck up to his face. Then to top it all off is with this cool ass hoodie he has over his head. He's got these lenses, these icy blue lenses that emanate this hazy glow, like holy shit. There's only one thing I don't like, just one thing, and it's this plastic like material around his thigh, and I just don't like it. Get rid of that please, thank you. Besides that little nitpick, this is another favorite costume of mine, and he looks so badass during cutscenes and stuff. Gonna give it a 10. Battle damage 2099 is again okay. He definitely looks roughed up with these skids and black marks across his body, on his mask a bit, then he gets sprinkled with some dust and it's fine. I'm gonna give it a 3. Very close to a 4, it just needs some more damage on the mask. Okay, I have nothing to say for this costume because it's already immediately a fucking 10. Just gonna throw that shit right on there. It's already from a great movie with a suit that they designed looking immaculate. I genuinely prefer this classic suit over the one in Across the Spider-Verse. I love the faint webbing and the graffiti sprayed logos and the red like all over his shoulders like that, and some big lenses to boot. Plus he has a different build, just like they did in the last game with Peter's Into the Spider-Verse suit. This doesn't factor into the rating, but the fact that they have a suit mod that lets you have the frame rate from the movie is fucking the sickest shit ever. And the nice little onomatopoeia letters when you attack someone is, you know, nifty too. So yeah, we all agree it's a 10. So how does the battle damage compare? It's there, but due to the costume being pretty dark, it's hard to tell, which sucks. Cause you can see some marks, some scratches, especially on his shoulder there, with that smudge and across his back. It looks cool, but again, it's very hard to see in some instances. So I'll give it a 3. This is an unlockable costume after you do all the side missions, and it's essentially the classic suit, but yellow. Although I think it's supposed to be gold, but it's just yellow to me, man. Like, it doesn't feel like gold if it is supposed to be. There are some minor differences on the costume though, with the texture on the yellow having some diamond shapes, and there's these additional arrows on his arms, which is neat. But other than that though, the color is what really throws me off. I don't know this strange color of yellow. Maybe it is significant with something, but I'm not sure. I'm here to just look at costumes, man, and the color is just wonky on this thing. It's like yellow Shadow the Hedgehog from the multiplayer mode. With that in mind, what this costume represents is sweet, it's nice. I do want to put it at a 7, but I'm gonna put it at a 6. Like I said, the message and everything behind this suit is cool. It's just the main color, sadly. I'm not gonna get cancelled, am I? Oh, and there's nothing to know about the battle damage side, as it's the same as the classic suit, which, fair enough. Would've been cooler if it was, slightly different or something. So I'll give it the same rating, which was a 4, I believe. We got another unlockable suit, and I think this is a really nifty costume, especially in this setting and weather of the game. Now, Miles might have not worn this kind of attire in the comics, but Peter did. He looked cozy, that's for sure, and this winter suit, I'm pretty sure is based on what Peter wore. So cozy is what I describe this costume. Just swinging in the snowy New York City. I love the scarf physics and his ankle socks a lot. But yeah, I have nothing else to say or note, as it's just the classic suit underneath. I'm gonna give this a 7. It's a very comfy little costume, and the battle damage is again the same as the classic suit. Just gonna give it a 4. Let's keep it moving, come on. The 2020 suit is a spin on the classic suit, but it's just Daft Punkified, or actually rather cyberpunk. Like the 2099 suit, this too is a comic cover, not from any story, and it's drawn by Raza. I couldn't find a picture for him, but it's easy to look him up, and other art he's worked on. Anyways, I thought the end suit or the 2099 were really close to being my favorite, but goddamn, I see this suit and it's so damn cool. I love this LED holographic chest that lights up, that kind of mimics his classic look with his logo, and with his cool sort of crop jacket on top, which by the way has a Stussy on his arm, and I love drawing Stussies, so it immediately gets a cool point for me. Plus this gold trim that adorns with the red is a chef kiss. Of course, the main star of the show is this helmet, which has a display of his mask, or more so his lenses electronically. The shape of the helmet I just adore so much, and it's connected to a Walkman by his hip, which is neat. The way this guy just glows is just so damn cool. Like, come on, he's got them light 'em up Skechers. The fit goes hard. So with all of that, the Benta suit is a 10. No ifs or buts about it. It's got a Stussy, come on. And the visor fucking moves during the Finn cutscene when he reveals himself to her. Granted, that applies to all of the other costumes, but like, come on. And I might have to give this battle damage a 5 as well, considering his helmet gets fuzzy and glitchy when you're low on HP. It gets cracked along with the suit also getting scuffed up and dusty. Like, look at him, man. 5 out of 5 for me. An unlockable costume once you defeat all the underground bases. This is cool, mostly gray and red polygonal armor suit. This shit reminded me of the Saints Row the 3rd like Tron suit, and so that puts a smile on my face. I like how very metallic this suit is with this red glowing matter on his hands and feet. The logos on this guy too are very cool. They kind of remind me of the Raimi back logo, but it's on both the back and his chest. The cool thing about this costume too is that there's 2 unique finishers, which activate these spider arms. I don't know why Insomniac is so obsessed with the spider arms, but sure, whatever, they look cool. There's not much to say about this costume without repeating myself. I mean, like how the lenses aren't this bright red, but instead it's like they're grafted and like drawn to shape it. I'm gonna give this costume, I'd say a 9. It's a super cool unlockable and looks awesome. Another reason for it being a 9 is the battle damage definitely influencing the rating. Like, he looks so scratched up, so beaten with the red underneath bleeding out. It looks so cool with this gash across his chest and his lenses having some cuts too. So this is another easy 5 out of 5 for the battle damage. Overall, a really unique, badass costume. Another unlockable suit, but this time it's made by his uncle Aaron, designed after his Prowler suit. Just, you know, now Spider-Man-fied. No comic origin this time, just a very purple and green suit with a gray along his side. Purple and green together is already such a strange combo, but it works for the Prowler, and honestly works for this suit too. It looks cool with the design they came up with, and I like the inclusion of the belt as well as these web shooters that remind me of the Scarlet Spider, except they're not fucking huge. I like how the webbing is still retained and it's grafted on, and the lenses are shaped aggressively, with the same glowy effect from the 2099. Honestly, I never really noticed that until now, but I like it with the green this time. There's also some light dusting on his suit for some reason. Not sure why, but I think it adds to it. I never thought I would like this costume, but I do. And I think it's really cool to wear when you fight against the Prowler while wearing this suit too. Like he's standing up to him after idolizing him or something like that. So yeah, I'll give the suit an 8, maybe a 9. Now when it gets damaged, I think there's a perfectly good amount of damage applied to the suit. While there could be more cuts and bruises applied, it's fine for what it does, especially on his mask and arm. It could probably go further beyond that though, I can imagine, so I'll give it a 5. I think it perfectly does the job, completely fine. Only 2 more unlockable suits, and this is by far another favorite of mine, as well as it being the most interesting one out of the bunch. Because you would think for a simple sweater wearing with a cat on his back would just be it, right? Well, no, because for a while I thought they reused the classic suit because, you know, why wouldn't they? Except it's a whole new fucking costume underneath. Look, he's got a sort of metallic mask on with these wide ass lenses as well as some different type of leggings below with these red webbings adorning his calves. And there's those goddamn red sneakers again. Regardless of that though, his hands are different too. Like, what is underneath this fucking sweater? Plus, I think the sweater is a reference to the Ultimate Spider-Man comic, where he was wearing a red sweater very briefly because he didn't have his costume. So you got a reference in there on top of having a cute fucking cat with his own little Spider-Man mask that has unique finishers too. With that in mind, I'm giving this thing a 10. I just really want to know what's underneath the sweater, because I bet this costume is a really neat rendition on the classic suit. Now when this suit gets damaged, it gets pretty scuffed up with the same magical dust coming. I like the sweater getting patches removed and scratched up among the suit underneath, getting the same treatment. The mask not so much though, and they're not gonna rough up the cat, although I think it'd be pretty adorable if his lenses were like, had a crack on it or something. Like come on, he's part of the fight too. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5. So who among you looked at this at the ending of the DLC in the last game and thought, oh man, I really wish I could wear that suit for Miles? Who the fuck said it? Is it a waste of a slot? I think so. Like, I would have preferred an original design or something else over this. I mean, it's a neat nod to the ending of the DLC, but that's really it. It's just a nod and a reference. The only cool thing about this costume is the mask is Peter's, and it's on Miles instead. And that the hoodie flows while you swing around and stuff. That's it. At least they have the decency to like immediately give it to you when you start a New Game Plus. So there's that, I guess. I'm just gonna give this a 4, I think. I don't really want it. but at least it gets damaged. You know, his jeans and hoodie get a little ripped, especially across his back. There's some torn pieces, while his mask gets some, you know, dark blots and like a smidge of a scratch. So I guess I'll give it a 2. How about that? Okay, here we are at the very last costume of this game that came with a free update. I'm not doing that update naming thing again. We're at the end of the video here, okay? I think this is just a whatever costume. It's definitely a take on the classic suit, just, you know, more techie, I guess. Apparently it's inspired by the MCU Iron Spider, which is, you know, not a good start, but you can see it, and this costume is good regardless if it was inspired or not. The metallic red logo, which is kind of similar to the Purple Rain suit a little, is cool, and the way he runs down his arms and around his wrist, you know, that's nice. And instead of the webbing going across his shoulder, there's some like padding on it, and it's the basic usual look from the classic suit. Just more metallic really. Of course the costume does light up as well, so you know, there's that. That's pretty much all I have to know on this costume. It's just, what if the classic suit was like freaking armored up a little, like he's ready to take on a seriouser threat or some bullshit like that. I'm gonna give this one a 7. It doesn't offend me. And on the damage side, at least it gets roughed up with a gold underside of the suit when pieces are removed. I like how that contrasts with the black and red of this costume, of this, you know, gold bleeding through, especially alongside his face like that. You know, that's so cool. I'll give this one a 5. Fuck it, why not? And with that, that's all of the costumes in Miles Morales. Don't you dare fucking go to your YouTube recommendations yet. You need to let me thank you first, okay? You're welcome for me giving you my strange opinions and ratings on a bunch of costumes in an underrated game. I think you should subscribe and maybe binge some of my other content, as I did do the Spider-Man PS4, including remastered for like almost 2 hours, covering all those suits. Or going through fucking hell completing heists in GTA 5. Here's a little snippet of what's that like.
Oh, now we're going down. Well, I guess it's...
Oh, I'm jumping out of that helicopter. I'm alive. Oh my god. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm not gonna keep you any longer. You know, that could be annoying. Bye, and see you on the next stupid ass video I make. Take care.